Well guys, it is me, Tamer Jumbo, and I am here with, it's very much like a pet deck for me, but with the new support in BT11, I genuinely think this is like a tier 1.5 meta contender. I feel like with the right pilot and just like the luck on the day, just could like easily top an event, top 8 regional, top 8 Nordic Cup, maybe win a major, well, is what I want to do with this deck anyway. It is Ulforce. So, with the new BT11 support, changing from establishing tamers and suspending them to more just playing out the tamers and then getting value when the tamers are played, it becomes this like really good mid-range control deck that can just establish a lot of tamers and then establish a large hand advantage, and then with that hand advantage convert it into lethal. Especially with the new Ulforce, new errrrrr, establishing a lot of easy card advantage engines. But I'm playing a more unique base, you can see with the baby dumb on, to make up for more of the deck's weaknesses and do certain matchups like Black War, potentially Melga, Grandis as well maybe. And then also play some more tech cards to make up for more weaknesses in grinding matchups such as Mass Day and Setcon. So I'll jump straight into the deck. I'll just go over the decks very quickly. 4 baby Domon. By this guess, you can probably say we are playing the Dracomon package. I think this egg is insanely good. So when a Digimon becomes unsuspended in the main phase during your turn, during all turns against +1k, this will never trigger your opponent's turn, which is quite sad. We need Ulforce X from BT12 first to resolve an opponent's turn, but by making just a 13k level 6, by going errrrrr effect and then making new Ulforce, this becomes like a very good level 6 threat, and 13k is still quite a high threshold for most level 6s in the current game. Onto level 3s for BT11 Digimon. This card is insanely good. On play, you may look at the top 3, add a Digimon and 1 blue tamer in its name. The fact it is a blue tamer and not specifically race arena is the one bit about this card that makes it extremely generic. I think this is like one of the best searches they've ever printed. And also it's terrible, it's just insanely good when you play a blue tamer game memory. Yeah, this is like pretty much always going to be your 4th rookie. This is probably one of the best in archetype rookies they've ever printed. And it will never go to less than 4. Onto more 3s. 4 Dracomon. I think Dracomon is an incredibly underrated pick for this deck. Making your Ulforce 14k on your turn and 13k on your opponent's turn if you start to block is incredibly good, especially if they go for just a swing with a 6. Don't read this and you declare it's 13k block. You can't do anything about it. And also, it's just really good. It's just a really good searcher. Searching, I think it's around 24 different targets in the deck, which is very good. It's just on play, look at the top 4. Add any Dramon to your hand out of the top 4. It adds Examon as well. So potentially what you could do as list is that you play one of Examon just to have a search of level 7. But for level 7 slot, I went for something a little bit different, so add a bit more disruption to the deck. But Examon definitely is a option you can do. Like establishing an Ulforce, and then just ending on an Examon with like evade and blocker on your opponent's turn, which is just like pretty good. But like I'd say just play Examon if you want to do that, because it is a lot more based around the archetype. Onto more level 3s. 2 EX1 Vmon. This Vmon is very good. I don't think you need it any more than 2 though, since you already have such good memory gain with the arenas and the Vmon. And to be honest, I saw when I establish an Ulforce, I want to establish it in a way that I'm choking him to 1 and then make him like a Leomon with Jerry. So sometimes this comes up where like I'm put to 2. I unsuspend, make a Jerry gain memory. So I don't really want that. I don't really want that much memory gain sources. It comes up a lot, like when I unsuspend during my main phase, but it's probably about it. I think 2 is correct. And then to the final 3, 2 Shuxet 1 Vmon. This card is both simultaneously a really good comeback tool and a really good draw engine. So its main effect is your turn. If your opponent controls a level 6 or higher, you may warp Digivolve into a Ulforce for the cost of 4. So essentially this can be like a really good comeback to if they put you to 4. You warp into an Ulforce, swing, tap arena, play out a tamer, unsuspend, bounce as a 6 or a 7 potentially. And they just will not play around it. And also, its inheritable is just when attacking. If you have 7 more or fewer cards in hand, draw a card. None once per turn. So with the amount of times you're unsuspending, if you can keep 7 in hand, tap arena, play out a tamer, you can just draw up to like 3 to 4 cards a turn, which is very good. And also with win rate, this becomes like a cheat code, which is very funny. Now moving on to the level 4s for BT11 Region 1. This card is very underrated in my opinion, just for like the your turn effect. So sometimes you'll have a brick hand, it happens. It's like it's a combo deck that plays a lot of tamers, but it's just like your turn once per turn. When you play a tamer, draw a card, so it always replaces your tamers no matter what. And then its inheritable is the same as Vmon. It's just when you play a blue tamer, gain a memory. Same again. This is like a really good inheritable, and I think the your turn trigger is very underrated in my opinion. There's a lot of times where I'll promote player arena filter cards just to dig for an extra piece. And just make this like a 6k blocker on your opponent's turn actually isn't that bad. 4 EX2 Uemon. And we are playing the Uemon Jerry package because it is a really good stall piece and establishing a mid-range threat. Essentially, it's just a level 4 blocker, and then on deletion you gain 2 memory and draw a card. So this will always be a disadvantageous swing for anything higher than 4k, because essentially they get taxed on every attack. And also it's 2 cost to evo, and sometimes you do need to make this in the back. And then just on the small hybrid package of 2 Kuma, this could be 2 Lobo, 2 Kuma, it really doesn't matter. 2 Kuma is better for the utility of the trashing your source, but I think if you just want to establish more of a offensive threat, the extra K from the Lobo one does come up with sometimes, but most of the time you are just hybriding for K. On to the level 5s for BT11 Region 1. This card is an insane card advantage engine. So it's just your turn once per turn. You may tap it to look at the top 3 and add any amount of blue tamers to your hand. So sometimes it can be draw 1, draw 2. I drew 3 today, which was pretty funny in the winner box we had at our shop. And also, since it depends itself as cost, it's just a way of getting a suspended level 5 for the Ulforce Region 1 effect to get the unsuspended the bounce. Also, when attacking, you may use Arena's on-play effect. Essentially, you get to loop your Arena's evade and blocker skill, which is insane to some matchups, especially if you're not overextending, where you just establish one Ulforce and maybe like a Leomon, maybe like a level 3 to have more cards in hand. And you just swing with the Ulforce, play out a tamer, replenish the tamer every turn cycle. Essentially, you just make this threat that's just hitting for a damage every turn cycle, and then there's a 13 or 12k blocker on your opponent's turn, which is a really big threat sometimes, and they have to commit 1 or 2 cards to outlet. I'm playing 2 Structure Errrrr. This adds a little offensive pressure to the level 5 slot, especially being just a level 5 jammer. Most of the time you're just like swinging, getting a free check in, and then suspending it to Ulforce. The inheritable is when you have 8 more cards in hand, you get set +1. I will say, this inheritable is sort of a trap, because you are committing a lot of hand resources to the restands with Ulforce, but the times where you have like consistently 8 or more, or you're making Ulforce 0 stacks, where it's become like a multiple restand threat, it becomes really good. I was playing this at 3, but I played in a different level 5 to play this at 2. I think 2 is fine. I'm never really missing the 3rd one. And now for the tech level 5, 1 errrrrr 0. So essentially, the logic behind this, it behaves as a lower level 6 for just outing bigger bodies on your opponent's turn. So the logic behind this is that if you have like 1 or 2 arenas out, you can just swing, tap the arenas, give it +6k. The Baby Dollmon gives it an extra. The Dracomon gives it an extra k. Becomes like a 14k beater on your opponent's on your turn, and you can just beat over a level 6 potentially, and also it just becomes suspended. And most of the time, it is a safe security check if you are using the arenas effects. But yeah, I think this is like a really good level 5 to tech in. It comes up often, but not often enough where I'm needing more than one. And if I'm ever making this in a stack, I'm really not bothered, because Inheritable is just like very decent. It's just shuffle 3 back in to give it plus 2k non once per turn. So in those longer, grindier games, especially like Black War, where you want higher DP so they can't redirect it, it becomes a really huge asset. Now to level 6s. For BT11 Ulforce, this is like the winchpin of the deck. It has your turn when digivolving. You may play a blue tamer from your hand. Your turn. When you play a blue tamer, you may unsuspend this Digimon. Your turn once per turn. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended, including the unsuspend phase, you may bounce a level 6. Oh no, sorry, you have to bounce a level 6. You have to bounce a level 3 Digimon, but then the target is +1 for every tamer. So say if you have 2, it bounces level 5s. If you have 3, it bounces 6s. If you have 4, it bounces 7s. This is just like the combo. This is the combo breaker, the combo extender. Establishing this and then a Leomon as backup is like an insane board state, and a lot of decks just can't play through this. Sorry. But yeah, I think this is like one of the most insane Ulforce cards we've ever gotten. This is hands down like the best Ulforce we've ever gotten, and I think this deck has the potential to top major events just because of this card. You know, neither has a card text. If you want anything from Yu-Gi-Oh, it has to be fucking good. And then the one Ulforce Zero. So this is a tech option. A lot of people play this at 3, a lot of people play this at 2. I'm not sure why. I can potentially see 2 if you know your local metagame will have a lot of set card, a lot of mass day, where you want to loop multiple of this. But I think 1 is fine. Essentially, against grindier matchups, this can just become like an anti-stalemate card, because you shuffle your deck back in while establishing an evade blocker that's also unsuspending like every swing. I think this card is insanely underrated. I think every deck should play this at least 1. With the deck how I've built it being as most consistent as possible, you're going to see this eventually, but just having this as a backup threat to your other Ulforces is just like an insanely good option. And also, it can go pseudo infinite. As long as you have like 3 or more to unsuspend, this can just unsuspend as much as it wants. Onto the tamers. For Arena Shinomiya. This card is insanely broken. No wonder they printed a fucking secret. So it's got all on play. You may give a V or a Vdramon. The V comes up a lot. Sometimes if you have like a level 3 BT11 Vmon, you hit this off secure, you give it blocker, your opponent can't get lethal. Yeah, so it's just give a V or Vdramon blocker and evade. All turns, once per turn. When a Vdramon will become suspended, you may tap this to activate one of its 1 Digivolving effects. And then your turn, once per turn, when a blue Digimon becomes unsuspended, you may gain 1 memory. This card allows for a lot of degenerate shit, a lot of restands in your turn, going infinite with this by just unsuspending a single one. Yeah, this is like the combo starter. This is essentially the only tamer you want to see all game. This is the only tamer you play at 4, because this is the tamer you want to see at all stages in the game. This card is like insanely broken, and this deck pretty much would not function if it wasn't for this tamer. 3 Davis. People play this at 2. People play this at sometimes 1, which makes sense. But the reason I play 3 is because you always want to see this in your games, but you don't always want to see it enough where it's taking up an arena slot essentially. So having 3 of this is fine, I think, and then also just playing it off the arena effect. It's just good card advantage, and especially in the current format where there's more and more tamer destruction going around, just having multiple of this to secure that you always will have the memory tamer, in my opinion, is just always good value. And essentially, it will pretty much always replace itself on the Ulforce. So if you have something like the errrrrr, it can allow you to keep 8 or more cards in hand. 3 Jerry. This card, in my opinion, is an insane card advantage engine. So essentially, it's just on play out a Leomon from your hand for free. It just allows you to spawn a 4K blocker, potentially on your opponent's turn, especially to like Grandis or something, where they think they have refill. They tap down your Ulforce, you tap the arena, play out the Jerry, play out the Wheelmon, they cannot go for game. And essentially, it's just opposed to when a Digimon attacks, you may tap it to draw a card. If you have multiple of these out, you're like drawing 2 in your opponent's turn, which I think, especially in Digimon, drawing is very underrated. So just having more threats in your hand by having this as a really good draw advantage engine, in my opinion, is like insane. And then the one of Taikame V-Tamer. So the reason I play one of is that it's not good enough for more than potentially 2. And then also, it's just like a really good choking tool. It's just mainly if you have a Digimon in play, you may tap it to give one of your blue Digimon 1k, or just a draw card. There's a lot of times where you'll just be tapping this to draw card. But there's a lot of times where you tap it to give it 1k, especially with like Ulforce. If you have a errrrrr 0 as potentially as a beta, make it 15k, hit into like, I don't know, like a Black War or something to trade. But yeah, I think this is like a fine one. I don't think you need more than one. And there's the one of Tech 7, Omnimon Merciful Mode. So the reason I'm playing Merciful Mode is that, shout out to my friend Justin for like even like bringing this into my head and like explaining the logic. So the logic is that against matchups where you need to wipe the board, especially with like Ulforce or something, this just becomes like an extra pop, but then also you get to keep the level 6 on the crackback, which at the moment with Ulforce, if you're not swinging with exactly Ulforce or Ulforce 0, you're not winning the game. So essentially, if I've established a level 7, but I don't get my Ulforce back, I'm pretty much... So all the tamers I have in the back have just lost all their value. So essentially, the logic is that I get a pop, and then I get to keep the level 7 on the crackback, which I think is a very like valuable way of just extending out. Today is pretty much won me the winner box. He did full Grandis combo, couldn't kill me. I knew I couldn't kill him on the crackback, so I just did as much damage as I could, and then went Merciful Mode, pop his Grandis, and the game was over. He just scooped. But yeah, I think this is like an insanely underrated card. Also, against purple as well, you can just shuffle in any key win card, which is pretty funny. Especially when it's like Master as well, which is funny. Just shuffle in like any good Master on target. I think this is very underrated. Onto the options. 2 boost memory boost. I think this is like standard. Some people use it 3. I think 2 is all you need. It's just a really good combo extension, and then also there's finding your pieces. And also, if you hit this on security, it's just like it's free team memory. On for attack. Shout out to Phantom for this. Win rate 60%. This card with Shuk's Deck Vmon is a fucking cheat code. 2 cost Ulforces. 2 cost Ulforce Zeros, allowing you to cheat on the memory for a level 5 to potentially extend for game. This card just comes up a lot. I'm really happy I included this card, and shout out to Fender for even telling me to play this. It just feels good. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels amazing to play with. And you know, shout out to Team Ice Wall. You gotta play the fucking one of. It's Ice Wall. Why would, like, you can always make up room for one Ice Wall. But yeah, cheers guys. This was the Ulforce deck. I'm honestly loving this deck. It's probably my favourite deck of the format. It's not particularly... okay, in my opinion, this deck is extremely pilot dependent. If the correct pilot has this on a good day, they're winning the whole event. But I don't think particularly it's a deck you can just pick up and play. You need to learn the combo lines, you need to learn your matchup thresholds for especially memory. You need to learn when you can overextend and when you can't overextend. And we need to just take a step back from trying to OTK and establish more of a mid-range value engine that will allow you to OTK in the later game. Thank you guys. It was Tamer Jambo, and I am signing out. Thank you.